I'm just going to give it a minute or two more, see if I can get any viewers in here before I start this little conversation. But what I'd like to do first is talk to everybody about some things that I really want to get off my chest. I really think it's time for me to get some of my thoughts processed about what's happened in the last 48 hours. Less than 48 at this point now. Everybody that's in the chat, if you are here, I'd love to hear how your day is going. You can ask me any questions right now. I'll do my best to answer them to the best of my knowledge and the best of my ability. Just testing a few things out. Would love to see how it sounds in playback. Okay. Giving myself about 30 more seconds, and I'm going to just start yammering, because at that point I really would love to I want to get this off my chest, and I want to go ahead and get this video out there. But alright, welcome into CIC 2. CIC normally would be filled with information regarding the 2K, but as Veli gave me the opportunity to talk about that on the flank, I'm going to skip right over all that talk because I saved most of my opinions and let everything off my chest that night. Right now, though, I want to talk a little bit about Gears All Access, in which we saw last night on Mixer. Beautifully well done by everybody at the Coalition, their media groups, and beautifully done interviews with a couple of great guys. You saw one with Kenny Bounce, one with Arodi Praised, and one with Jordan Ribeiro. I absolutely loved all three of those. They gave great insight into the type of people that they are, and I cannot wait to continue to see more from that group going forward. But I'm going to start with this. In the All Access episode, I don't think at the end of the day anybody outside of God and the two men involved are going to get the entire stories about what happened when Echo Fox broke up and a long-time friendship seemed to split apart. Arodi, picked up out of almost obscurity by franchise to be put on his team, given a shot, becoming one of the gods at the game, finally split with a former teammate whom I was one of the most sad people to see that happen, because I loved the way that they worked together. I loved the camaraderie I saw between the two of them, and I thought they worked so unbelievably beautiful when it came to describing and figuring out and really pinpointing the weaknesses in an enemy at any given time. I thought the dichotomy of their personalities, Franchise, the cool, calm, collected leader, only standing up when the job was done, and praised the war-crazy machine of a killer that he is, going absolutely bonkers, map in and map out. I really felt like they fed off each other. But they broke up. Not like they were in a literal relationship, but as teammates do, one left for greener pastures according to himself, going over to Optic Gaming, whereas Franchise was left to pick up the pieces, find some new players with Kyle, and start Echo Fox again. This time rising from the ashes, though. I'll get to that in a second. Arodi going over to Optic Gaming has already paid off for him. All of Season 1 in Gears of War 4, they won one championship. In his first tournament, his debut with them, they won the championship. He's got one chip with both teams. He's got 2 chips across 2 different teams. Arodi, playing out of his mind all New Orleans long, showed that he's still got it and that he is still a force to be reckoned with, and nobody can take that away from him. On the other side of that coin, Franchise being left there with Kyle on Echo Fox, having to figure out where to go from here. What roster moves needed to be made. Toy Soldier was gone. Praised was gone. Solars was gone. Where do you go? What do you do? Well, if you're a former world champion, you find yourself some other world champions. Some world-class people. He found Icy. He found Kenny. And then he went digging through the sand. He went looking for that diamond in the rough. Everybody's seen the diamond. They knew it long before anybody felt like he could be plucked out of obscurity. It was Powers, ladies and gentlemen. Powers himself coming out as a youngster, 16, joining a professional team that was storied and was with storied veterans like Kenny, like Icy, like Fran, like Kyle. And it was going to make this melting pot of talent, young blood, and hunger to win. A beautiful melting pot. A stew fit for the finest kings and queens. Franchise went. They had a limited amount of time to scrim. He gathered up his soldiers. They went hard as can be for the month leading up to New Orleans, as hard as they could go. They had limited practice time. They had to go at 150% day in and day out. And it paid off because everybody was counting them out. Everybody said that they weren't going to make it, that they might not do well in pool, that they might not even make it out of pool into winners. I stood by my early predictions at Media Day. I got to sit with teams. I got to talk with people. All the talent, the analysts, everybody got to sit down. Everybody may have been counting them out, from other teams to other personalities. And I kept saying, no way, no how. Those guys are too good to let this happen to them. And I was so pleasantly surprised to see that I wasn't only just speaking out of turn, that I wasn't blowing smoke, that these boys came to play. They proved they're still at the top of the food chain. They made an incredible run through losers bracket after that embarrassing defeat by Optic Gaming. They came back to championship finals, and they put on a show that had everybody out of their seats. They're the first team in history of Gears of War 4 to take 7 consecutive rounds from Optic Gaming. It was a sight to see. It was a sight to behold. It was beautiful. It was well done. It was majestic, ladies and gentlemen. And where do we go from here? San Diego. The rivalry will continue. Optic Gaming, Echo Fox will continue to punch each other in the mouth every step of the way until they get to San Diego. And when they get there, I believe it's going to be a bloodbath. A slobber knocker, as my boy JR Jim Ross would say in WWE. Let's move on to Jordan Ribbs. Ribbs talking about how he wished he was competing, how he wished that even though he was there as a brand ambassador, a content creator for Ghost Gaming, that there's that part of him, that competitor, that drive, that still wished he was competing. At the end of the day, based on their performance, I'm sure there were some other people that wished he was still competing. But that was out of his hands at that point. Ribs now picking up the pieces, possibly finding a new landing spot, trying to get this team together, it looks like, with what everybody would like to call old heads, with Atmo, with Flames. They are making this team a pure wrecking crew. They're starting out early. They're taking some bad beats, but if this team sticks together, I really got high hopes for them. Those guys know too much about the game and are too good at what they do not to continue to win or find success. I loved what Ribs had to say. You have to learn to be a winner. You have to learn to be mature. You have to go through life. You have to learn these lessons. He's learned them. He is a champion. He's looked back on the past, seen his mistakes. He's made better of them. He's never, ever once let himself become a product of his environment. He's always taken his environment and lifted it to a higher level. I wish nothing but success for you, Ribs. I really hope you get great things in the future. I can't wait and hopefully see you hoist another trophy. Quick side note. The position I've been put in now is a talent or a face when I was at New Orleans, and now I've been speaking on the flank as a bit of an analyst, as a bit of opinion head. It's put me in a position where people are going to call favoritism. On All Access, it reared its ugly head. I didn't know the cameras were on, but I'm not embarrassed by it, and I'm not ashamed to say it. As soon as grand finals were over, I found franchise. I gave him a fist bump. I told him he's only going to get better, that they're only going to get better. I can't wait to see what they do in San Diego. Because he's always going to be a guy I root for. As much as I want to see Ribs hoist another trophy, there's nobody in this community I want to see lift that Nasher above his head more than I want to see Fran do it. So if you're out there watching, I'm still pulling for you. I'll be unbiased. If you slip up, I'm going to call you out on it. But boy, if they're going to ask me who I think is taking it, we all know who I'm going with. Let's move on from All Access now to today's rant about roster changes and some of the disturbing things I got to hear about. First off, I'm going to talk about a team that I thought had a real chance if they had stuck together to make sure that they made it to San Diego and made more noise than they could possibly imagine. That was Elevate. Sneaky, no longer a part of the team. Reasons beyond his control. Reasons that I'm not allowed to speak about out of respect for a man that was willing to share those reasons with me. Sneaky, I hope nothing but success for you. Elevate, I hope whoever you find can fill the role that Sneaky had, do just as well, if not better, because I want to see you boys strike up another band and make some more noise in the future. Sneaky, I hope you find a landing spot where you're happy, you're getting what you need, and that you find success there as well. Let's talk about what we heard, though, from the other side of the pond. Here in America, a little bit of news, a little bit of noise was made. I hope I bring some light to that situation, though, and I hope you understand that Elevate's going to have 4 guys looking for one. Sneaky's 1 guy now looking for a team, it looks like. I hope he finds somewhere. From the other side of the ocean, though, some pretty disturbing things out of the EU. Marsh, no longer with Space Station GG. He stood up for himself. Based on some of the things that have been said and that I've heard, I don't blame him for 1 second. Those are supposed to be your brothers. When you're on a team, there is no way in hell anybody inside that locker room should hate anybody else, because it should become you against the world. You are in the trenches with those other guys. You are down there trying to win as hard, if not harder, than everybody else around you. And to be disrespected, it's unacceptable. Some things you can work through as a team. You can sit down. You can have a little come to Jesus meeting. Other things can't let slide. Marsh, I don't know what your decision's going to be. I hope you find another team. Hell, I was personally hoping for a little revenge squad. Maybe you can make something happen over there. Go to another team, make those boys regret that they ever let you get out of their grasp, because I guarantee you, you are an asset to whoever you join. You're too good of a player. You're worth too much. They're going to regret this. Mark my words. We had 3 teams sitting at a table looking at everybody else going towards San Diego. Space Station GG was one of them. But the loss of Marsh, an almost irreplaceable factor for that team. Where do they go? My guess is that they're going right back to the kiddie table. And the only people happy about this? Echo, Optic, Ghost, E United. People keep making it easier for the top 4 to stay the top 4 teams. That's embarrassing. See, people got to come out and they got to make things happen, but they keep having this turnover. They keep turning it over like a French bakery, baby. Got to get settled. You got to find guys that you're willing to grind with each and every single day. You might not love them, but you got to learn to like them, because you're going to be going to war with those guys. It pains me to see this kind of roster change. To see a top 3 team who took Optic Gaming in originally the winner's bracket, put them on the ropes a little bit, fighting hard, really made them sweat. Now they made a roster change? This is ridiculous. We had the championship team after Las Vegas win a chip. They made a roster change. They got rid of their veteran. They got rid of a guy who's as well respected and well loved as Ribs. And where did they go? South. They got to figure it out before San Diego. They've got one of the best coaches in the game behind them. Fatal Strike. He's out here putting in work every single day. And I think he is going to make that team better, because he's going to have to make that team better with somebody like Sleepy Time. The two of them are going to have to put their heads together, and they're going to have to figure this out going in to the end of September. Let's talk about E United. I talked about their window not closing, but it already just being a smaller window than most other teams. They're happier now because that's one less top team that they might have to go through, because Space Station got rid of a player who's competed against and helped beat these other top teams. It sickens me to no end to see this kind of thing happen. Echo Fox and Optic just got a little bit easier of a matchup. Whoever has to go against what's left the Space Station, I hope they find a replacement for them from Marsh. But it's going to be hard. Let's get that straight. Let's not beat around the bush. They're going to have to find somebody who's now heard all this news, seen what's come out of it, is going to have to live with that information, process it, be okay with being in that environment, and learning to win with them. It's not impossible, but it's improbable. Let me get on my rant, though. Amateur teams coming out of pool play, hoping to make noise. Hell. Top 12 teams. Stick together. Find guys willing to work. It's not impossible. You've got to find guys that want it as bad as you. You've got to be willing to watch the video. You can find a coach. You can find a guy who's willing to watch video. Make notes. Take notes. You don't have to practice perfectly all the time, but learning perfect practice will help you along the way. When you go and look at something, you've got to remember, when you see it with your eyes, when you see the footage, when you see the misrotation, you see the misroll, you see the numbers that you took the negative chance against it winning and you didn't come out of it alive because you knew you shouldn't have had no business in that fight. Men lie, Women lie. Numbers and footage never lie. You got to start figuring this out, guys. If you want a chance to hoist a chip, to hoist the money that these top 4 teams have been making and securing, event in and event out, then you're going to have to learn to be like those top 4 teams. You're going to have to learn to be like those top contenders. Grind. Not in the sense of tweeting it out. Not in the sense of saying it and not meaning it. Not in the sense of saying it and not doing it. Get on. Be on time. Make it like a job. Grow up. Punch your time card. Get your scrims in. Talk to your teammates. Get your chemistry up. Figure out what's the weakness in your team. Take some time to make that weakness a strength. But never, never, never take your eyes off your strengths and have them turn into weaknesses. Find balance in it. If you find balance and you find 4 other people willing to work as hard as you, because it starts right here. You can't look outward without looking inward. It starts in your chest, in your heart. You've got to want it more than every single other player on the circuit. And then you go out, you find those guys who want it as much as you, and you make it a day to day. You figure the schedule out, you figure the scrims out, you put in the work, you put in the time, you get the results. It's not going to be easy. Nothing in life worthwhile is ever easy. It's going to be hard. The road's not going to be paved. It's going to be dirt roads, followed by vines, followed by trees, followed by mountains, followed by 15 foot of snow uphill. But if you're willing to work, if you're willing to try to be the player you think you are and say you are, then maybe one day you will be the player that you think you are and say you are. Because right now, only a few of you are living up to your potential. And there's nothing in this man's humble life that he would like more than to see the crapshoot. To go into an event and legitimately have zero idea of who's going to win. Because parity makes for greatness. When everybody's getting everybody's best shot, and it's making every single team stay on their heels and prepare for any and everything, you'll have the greatest Gears esports you can imagine. You'll eat up every moment of it. There won't be a match where you're bored, because every match will be high intensity, high octane, high velocity. And they'll all be filled with stat lines that everybody wants to emulate. Go out, find it, and be it. That's all for tonight's CIC. Thank you for joining me in the control room. I'm Colin Clark. I hope to see you on Gears of War in San Diego, fighting to hoist a trophy. Because at the end of the day, that's what everybody should be wanting to do.